Welcome back to our channel, friends. We always love sharing these moments with you, unpacking the drama, the heartache, and the surprises that keep us all on the edge of our seats. Let us jump straight into the heart of the story. I can just picture the scene so vividly, clear as a bell, and it gives me absolute chills. Jordan is walking up to Portia's door, probably just expecting a regular run-of-the-mill visit. Maybe she is going there to clear the air, or perhaps just to drop something off like any neighbor or old friend would do. But you know how things go in this town. Nothing is ever just a simple drop-in. There is always a dark storm brewing right behind a closed door. Jordan steps into a house that feels incredibly heavy, thick with an unspoken tension that you can practically feel through the television screen. Portia is standing there, heavily pregnant, and you can just tell by the haunted look in her eyes that her entire world is about to turn completely upside down. I feel so much empathy for these women because they have been through the absolute ringer over the years. And seeing them cross paths at such a raw, vulnerable moment just gives me goosebumps all over my arms. Portia is standing right on the terrifying edge of a massive emotional confrontation. You can see the heavy weight of the world resting squarely on her shoulders. Bless her heart. She has been carrying a secret so incredibly heavy that it looks like it is physically pulling her down to the floor. Stress is a terrible, destructive thing, especially for a woman in her delicate condition. The sheer panic and anxiety of what she is about to face are bubbling up inside her like a pot left on the stove too long. It is not just a regular everyday argument she is anticipating. It is the kind of life-altering reckoning that leaves deep, permanent scars on a family. The tension in the room is so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. I watch this unfold and I just want to reach right through the screen, hold her hand and tell her to take a deep breath, but we all know that is not going to stop the inevitable heartbreak that is coming her way. All that unbearable, suffocating stress does exactly what you would fear most in a situation like this. It sends poor Portia straight into early labor. Lord have mercy. The timing could simply not be any worse if they planned it. 1 minute they are standing there, wrapped up in all this unspoken drama and tension, and the next minute Portia is doubling over in sudden, blinding agony. Now, Jordan is suddenly and unexpectedly thrust into the role of a savior. She is looking at a woman who has complicated her life in so many painful ways, but in that terrifying moment, all the messy history just melts away. Jordan has to spring into immediate action. I can imagine the sheer, unadulterated panic as Jordan realizes she might have to deliver this fragile baby right there on the living room floor, or somehow manage to drag Portia to the car and speed off to General Hospital before it is entirely too late. It is a heart-stopping situation, the kind that makes you hold your breath, clasp your hands together, and pray for a miracle. But the physical pain of the labor is only half the story, my friends. The real earthquake here is the shocking secret that caused all this unbearable stress in the first place. Portia has finally confessed a terrifying, earth-shattering truth to Curtis. She spilled the beans, and let me tell you, it is a massive doozy. She looked that proud man right in the eye and admitted that he is, in fact, the biological father of the baby she is currently carrying. Can you even begin to imagine the profound shock? After everything they have been through, after all the deep trust issues and the painful secrets involving Trina's paternity, here they are again, caught up in yet another tangled web of lies. It absolutely breaks my heart into tiny pieces because you just know that a secret of this magnitude does not just hurt one person, it completely blows up an entire family. Curtis must feel like the rug has been violently pulled out from under him all over again. When a good man hears something like that, his whole world simply stops spinning and drops right out from under him. Curtis has always been a man who deeply values honesty, a man who desperately wants to protect his family and do right by the people he loves with all his heart. Hearing that Portia kept this massive truth from him, that she carried his own child while letting everyone in town believe otherwise, is a betrayal that cuts straight down to the bone. I see him trying to process this information, his handsome face, a tragic mix of pure anger, deep sorrow, and overwhelming confusion. It is exactly like opening a can of worms that can never ever be closed again. The foundation of their marriage, which was already resting on very shaky ground, is now cracking wide open, and the emotional fallout is going to be absolutely devastating for every single person involved. And then there is our dear Jordan. Oh, poor sweet Jordan. She is standing right in the dead center of the blast zone of this emotional explosion. Finding out that Curtis is the father of Portia's baby is a massive, life-altering crisis for her. It completely and utterly shatters whatever fragile trust she had miraculously managed to rebuild with him over the past few months. You really have to put yourself in her shoes for a minute. She loved this man deeply. She selflessly let him go so he could be happy. She tried her hardest to make peace with his new life, and now she is violently dragged right back into his messy, complicated reality. It is a harsh, painful reminder of exactly why she had to walk away in the first place. Her faith in him is broken all over again. It is deeply unfair that she has to be the one to help Portia in her darkest hour, while simultaneously having her own heart trampled on by this shocking revelation. This explosive truth does not just stay quietly contained between Portia, Curtis, and Jordan. Oh no, it lights a dangerous match that starts a massive, uncontrollable wildfire in Port Charles. A fierce and incredibly bitter war is brewing right now between Curtis and Isaiah. With Curtis now knowing for a fact that he is the father, he is aggressively stepping up, demanding his rightful place and marking his territory like a protective bear. But Isaiah is certainly not just going to step aside quietly and let this happen without a fight. The rising tension between these two strong, stubbornly proud men is rapidly escalating into a full-blown battle. They are like two angry bulls locking horns in a pasture, neither one willing to back down an inch. It is truly frightening to watch because when men like that go to war over pride, love, and family, innocent people always end up getting terribly hurt in the crossfire. And who do you think's going to get caught right in the middle of that dangerous crossfire? Jordan, of course. Because she is so deeply entangled in this entire messy situation, she is now facing real physical danger. This ugly feud between Curtis and Isaiah is not just a simple yelling match. It is turning highly toxic and genuinely dangerous. Jordan, being the strong, fiercely protective woman and former police commissioner that she is, simply cannot just turn a blind eye and walk away. She is going to try and manage the volatile situation, try her best to keep the peace, but in doing so, she is putting a giant target right on her own back. I worry for her so much, I really do. She is a woman who has bravely survived so much trauma in her life, and seeing her step right into the perilous path of this runaway train makes me want to scream at the television for her to just walk away and save herself. Meanwhile, bringing our minds back to the terrifying medical emergency, Portia is not just having a normal, everyday early delivery. The situation is rapidly turning into a complete and utter nightmare. Her body is failing her under the immense pressure, and it looks like she might not be able to deliver this precious baby safely at all. The medical complications are severe, the exact kind that make the experienced doctors' faces turn pale with worry. Every single second counts, and the terrible fear of losing the baby is becoming a very grim, heartbreaking reality. It is a mother's absolute worst nightmare, plain and simple. You simply cannot help but feel a deep, overwhelming wave of sympathy for her, regardless of all the foolish mistakes she has made. No woman, no matter what she has done, should ever have to face the prospect of losing her child, especially when she is already drowning in an ocean of guilt and sorrow. If the absolute worst happens, or even if it is just a highly traumatic near miss, Portia is going to be left dealing with a deep, paralyzing psychological trauma. She is already a woman who constantly overthinks and tries desperately to control everything around her to protect her loved ones. Now, she is developing a dark, unhealthy obsession, a severe mental block tied directly to her immense guilt over the secret and the disastrous, chaotic birth. She is going to blame herself entirely for every bit of this pain. She will firmly believe that her lies, her stress, and her deceit are the direct cause of this terrible tragedy. That kind of heavy guilt eats a person alive from the inside out. It is a looming disaster for her mental well-being, and I honestly do not know if she has the inner strength to pull herself out of that dark, lonely, suffocating pit. It is incredibly ironic, isn't it? The very woman who Portia has always felt so deeply insecure about, the woman who shares a deep, unbreakable, historical bond with her husband, is the one holding her hand and desperately trying to save her life. Jordan and Portia have awkwardly danced around each other for years, stepping on toes and harboring quiet, unspoken resentments. Yet, when push finally comes to shove, when precious life and tragic death are hanging in the fragile balance, all that petty jealousy simply fades away into nothing. Jordan's immense strength in this terrifying moment is a true testament to her wonderful character. She puts human life and basic decency far above her own broken heart. It is a beautiful, albeit deeply tragic, display of pure womanhood and resilience that truly brings a warm tear to my eye. We also have to stop and think about how this is going to ripple violently through the rest of the family. Trina, bless her sweet, innocent heart, is going to be absolutely devastated by this news. She has already had her entire world rocked by painful paternity secrets once before. To have her own mother repeat the exact same terrible mistake to lie about the father of yet another child is going to completely destroy that poor girl's ability to trust anyone. The warm family dinners, the joyous holidays, the quiet moments of togetherness, all of it is deeply tainted now. The sturdy foundation of the Ashford family is crumbling right before our eyes, and I just do not see how they can possibly sweep this massive mess under the rug. The emotional damage is profound, and the healing process, if it even happens at all, is going to take years of painful, honest, and exhausting work. Looking closely at Curtis, you really have to wonder exactly how much one man can take before he breaks. He fought so incredibly hard to build a clean, honest, respectable life away from his dangerous mob ties and his deeply troubled past. He desperately wanted a white picket fence, a loving, devoted wife, and a family built on absolute, unshakable truth. Portia promised him all of that. She looked him right in the eyes and swore they were equal partners in every sense of the word. This shocking revelation about the baby is a cruel, twisted joke played by fate. It makes me wonder if Curtis will finally just snap, if he will just pack his bags and walk far away from it all. A man's pride and his tender heart can only take so many brutal beatings before he puts up a thick wall that nobody can ever climb over. His bitter war with Isaiah might just be a necessary outlet for all this pent-up rage and deep-seated betrayal.